Hi, my name is Blake. I'm an early 20s male who lives in Australia, and I am depressed. This is my confession. This is my voice. This is me trying to work out what's wrong, where I'm going wrong, and trying to find a creative outlet. Now, at this time on this channel, I don't exist. There's no photos of my face. There's no recollection of anything apart from what I've just told you. There's nothing. And I'm gonna keep it that way. Because I do have other YouTube channels. But this is my personal one. Now, if you do manage to stumble upon this video, feel free to talk. If you are depressed, if you are upset, I'm open to a message more or less anywhere. And if people begin to start talking, I will happily talk back and help. Because that's the kind of person I am, and unfortunately, when someone takes away my ability to help, I become more depressed and more upset. My problems are mine to bear, but helping somebody with theirs helps me with mine too. So I'm going to start really quickly with a poem. It's not going to mean anything now, but hopefully, if I continue doing this when I have a chance, it might mean something in the future. This is called Spark. Spark, a flash, the ignition of a flame, one that burns its mass to build but not a flame to maim. This construct is of fusion, two hearts that beat as one, and as thy fuel's exhausted, collapses like the sun. As density increases, gravity goes wild, all bodies in the area are pulled down deep inside. The bosons of a whisper fly throughout the sky. Collateral is exponential, even light will cry. To understand the ending, the departure of a star, you start off with the elements of life within its heart. Now follow back its origins about 14 billion years, galaxies back to slumber, taking back their tears. Now, I wrote this a little while ago. The reason why is a very long story, but I'm not sure whether to start now or whether to start at the beginning. It would be very interesting to try and start now and work my way back, but I feel like there are decisions that were made and things that were said that wouldn't make sense without the context, without the situation. So, let's start off with the broadest spectrum that I can. I'm going to start with the most recent situation, and then I'm going to backtrack as I continue further. Think of this like the diary of a stranger. The most recent situation that I have a part of has been going on since February this year, February 2016. During this time, I'm going to quickly explain to you what happened that led to here, but I'm not going to go into detail. I'm also never going to mention anybody's name or put anybody out. This is purely for me, and not one of my friends knows that this is going to exist. And I kind of hope to keep it that way. So since February 2016, I decided to help a friend of mine, one of my oldest friends, with a situation. This person had been in the middle of a domestically violent relationship for almost 2 years, and she finally needed an out. I live in a house with a lot of people, but we still had room for one more. I took the responsibility of asking my housemates if they would be happy to have this friend of mine move into our lounge room for about 3 months. That was the original deal. That was the original discussion. They all said yes, given her circumstances, and we went from there. Unfortunately, and I feel like this is also my fault, My girlfriend at the time, we had been together for 5.5 years or so. She didn't like this. She saw my friend as a threat. Obviously, when you care about someone a lot, you're going to get jealous. You're going to get envious. And that happens. And being jealous is not a bad thing. This is what I know. I've been jealous before. I've been envious. It means you care. So if someone's jealous, that means they care a lot. They don't want to lose you. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to discuss a lot of these things in depth, at least my personal opinion, because I feel like I have a very interesting opinion. It might not necessarily be right, but I think it works well for me. So my girlfriend didn't like this. My girlfriend got very defensive and offensive. Now, I said a second ago that jealousy is not a bad thing, and I stick by that, but how you react to jealousy can make it a bad thing. Being jealous, telling the person you care that you're worried, that you're scared, that's good. That's good. If they do something that breaks that, like the trust, if they do something like that, your suspicions were correct, and as much as it hurts, you should probably do something about that, like leave. However, if you start to openly attack people that need help because you're jealous, then that's when you need to start really questioning yourself. If you can. I know a lot of people can't. That was where things went wrong. My girlfriend got offensive, turned a house full of people that I'd called friends for a very long time against my oldest friend, who just needed help. And then when we finally split up because I couldn't take the way she was acting anymore, most of them turned against me. For months, my friends and my family would avoid me. They would go quiet when I entered a room. They would talk about me behind my back. And with someone who has had a past like mine, and I'm not saying mine's the worst, but someone who's had a past like mine, and I will explain this one day, can't accept that the way you would think. Being so isolated, my depression and my anxiety welled up. It got worse, and it got worse, and it got worse. I started to have daily migraines, which would lead to nosebleeds. I stopped talking to people, started drinking my problems away, and damaging myself and the others around me. I can tell you that there are 3 separate times where I've gotten angry, drunk myself down, and I've physically beaten into the toilet while I threw up. And it is not my proudest moment. None of what I'm going to be talking about, except for a few select moments, I'm going to be proud of at all. Now, these videos won't be too long. I'm going to try and keep them nice and short. But I need to say some of these things, and I don't have a person to really talk to outside of my psychologist. So I'm deciding to try and find an audience of people. I'm not looking for anything specific but ears. People who don't judge. People who are people. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I need. So I'm going to try and find it. And I know that YouTube is an interesting place. You can find so much content. Even I've made gaming videos before. Couple of 100 subs. Nothing special. But I know that sometimes when it's needed, these things can happen too. And if not for anybody else but myself, this is what I need. So really quickly before we finish, everyone was turned against me. It took me months before people would start to talk to me. I took barrages of fire from my friend, made sure that whatever they were angry at her about, they yelled at me instead. Eventually, they warmed up to my friend. They eventually started to talk to her. And after that, I started to make amends for my actions as well. That leads us to a few months in when things got very interesting. My friend who had moved in comforted me through a lot. Helped me get over the breakup, helped me realize that I'm not a bad person, but every person makes bad decisions. During this time, I did begin to get emotionally attached to my friend, and it went the other way too. She was invested in me. We started kind of thinking about becoming a couple. The problem is, it was still new. I didn't want to jump into a relationship so quickly, and she did. After a while, we started to argue. She wanted it, I wanted to wait before making anything official, and we begun to really fight and argue, and I pushed her away. Badly. Now, she still lives here, and as far as she's concerned now, I'm not interested in her, but that's a lie. And as the more I explain what's happened, the more I hate myself. And you will understand that as I start to break down this situation more. Over the last 5 months, I've tried to win back my friend. I've tried to get her to open up, to like me again. Tried to become more me. Unfortunately, all I did was emotionally tear myself apart, ruin everything that I've stood to put together, and I've had several emotional breakdowns in the process. This has caused me to lash out, be angry, to drink again, and I've also yelled and punched inanimate objects. I would never hit a person that doesn't deserve it, so no, that is not one of my regrets, and I will never, ever do so. In fact, I've only ever been in a fight once, so I'm not a very violent person by nature. I've continued to try and help. I feel like I've been cast aside and ruined, and now I'm left to pick up the pieces alone. Almost. That is where I am now. I've been seeing a psychologist for about 5 or 6 weeks. My last emotional breakdown, my second last emotional breakdown, I begun to cut myself to feel anything apart from the emotional pain. The very last emotional breakdown, I wrote words. I carved the word pain into my fingertips, and I've carved the word hate into my shoulder. These are not things that I have done for a very long time, nor should I have ever resorted to, but I have. And I need to change. All of my friends, even though they'll remain nameless, have in some way helped me through this, and I can't forgive them as much as I'd ever want to. I just don't have it in me right now. So instead, I'm going to put together this collection, and eventually I'll be better. I've survived worse. That is the end of this. I don't know what to call it. Let's call it what I said before. This is the end of my first part of the Diary of a Stranger. I have a bird, by the way, and he's very vocal. thank you for listening. If you've listened, if you haven't, then you'll never know this video exists, but thank you. If you listen, you don't have to say anything, but if you did like the video, if you liked what I said, if you're interested for me to continue, leave a like. Just a like. I'm not going to monetize these videos. This is not about money or anything like that. This is about healing. So leave a like if you're interested in my story, and I will definitely continue. If you have a question, leave it down in the comment section and I will get back to it eventually. If you have any suggestions or want to tell me your story, again, you can leave it in the comment section, or you can even call me personally. Well, I say call me personally. You can message me directly. I'm pretty sure YouTube still allows for that. If not, I will set up an email address for it. Finally, thank you again. Thank you for listening. And I hope that you all have a good week. Let's go ahead and say a good week. Goodbye.